Over 25 years ago, on September 29th, 1998, we watched a brainy girl with curly hair drop everything to follow a guy she only kind of knew all the way to college. And so began Felicity. My name is Juliette Littman, and I'm a Felicity superfan. Join me, Amanda Foreman, who you may know better as Megan, the roommate, and Greg Grunberg, who you may also know as Sean Blunberg, as the three of us revisit our favorite moments from the show and talk to the people who helped shape it. Listen to Dear Felicity on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Experian. Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use but can't find the time or energy to cancel them? Experian could cancel unwanted subscriptions for you, saving you an average of $270 per year and plenty of time. Download the Experian app. Results will vary. Not all subscriptions are eligible. Savings are not guaranteed. Paid membership with connected payment account required.
Let's party each and every year on Christmas Eve, where the fun and cocktail shrimp don't seem to end. Clark and Ralphie taking turns on the TV screen, laughing, singing, yelling with all of our friends. Well, it's Christmas, and everybody's gonna spread the holiday cheer. It's Christmas. Oh, it's the best time of the year.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Matt.
This one was your topic. Tell us a little bit about what we're doing here today.
Yeah, so every once in a while, we like to take a break from TV, movies, albums, just kind of have a conversation. For the past few episodes, when we do that, we've been looking at different lists. We've done TV specials. What are the top TV specials? What are the top songs? So I was sitting there and I was like, you know, it'd be really cool if we talked about the top toys. Now, you can't really break that down because there's a lot of toys that exist out there. So we decided to go with what were the top toys in the year that we were born. I'd love to just discuss, like, did we have any of these? And what do you remember about them? Obviously, we don't remember exactly like when they first premiered because, you know, we were very little tiny babies.
Yeah, I was 2 months old when Christmas came around in 1985, for example.
Yes.
But, I mean, I guess I'll go first because my best-selling toy in 1985, according to one of the different... I checked like 3 different websites.
Yeah.
This seemed to be the big one for 1985. I know I had one. I feel like it's still kind of popular in culture today in the sense of... people love talking about this. It was the Teddy Ruxpin.
The Teddy Ruxpin.
Now, you
Tell
know
me
about Teddy Ruxpin,
yes,
right?
It's a teddy bear, right?
So it's a teddy bear that had a tape deck attached to it. So when you put a cassette tape in it, it was a cassette tape of him talking, and his mouth would move with the words. Now, where Teddy Ruxpin has continued to be popular is that as far back as the 80s, people realized, oh, if I put in like my Metallica cassette tape in this, Teddy's mouth is going to move with the words. So there's videos on YouTube of people doing that still to this day, having their Teddy Ruxpin talk.
This is basically pre-Jib Jab.
Yep.
Like that's what that is.
I would say it's more comparable to those dudes who like refurbished the old like Chuck E. Cheese band to play like MGMT music and stuff.
Or
but
the talking fish. The talking fishmen. The ones that sing Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Yeah, Big Mouth Billy Bass. All right, so before I do my...
Do you still own one?
No, I don't. Before I do the other ones, I want to know what your number one toy was in the year that you were born, which was, what, 1992?
1992. So I've been scrolling up and down through multiple because contrary to what you guys may believe, there is no definitive list out there. But the big one that keeps coming up is the original Troll. The original Troll started making a comeback in 1992.
That's
for those of you
shocking. When was the Super Nintendo released?
So the Super Nintendo was released the year before, and that was very popular. But the one that it's just coming back, the original Troll made its debut in the 1960s, but made a comeback in the early 1990s. The So Ugly They're Cute dolls with hair that stood straight up from their head were everywhere in 1992 as large dolls, 2-inch figurines, and magnets and key rings. Small Troll items, perfect for stocking stuffers, sold for about $1. And I will say this tracks. My mom loved those little Troll dolls when I was a kid. And I think like that's why I ended up with a bunch of them. And yeah, they made a really big comeback in 1992.
Okay.
Apparently. So what's another one from your end?
So I'm going to rattle off a couple of these just to kind of get them. I'll rattle off the ones that I know I didn't have.
Yeah.
And then I have two that I definitely were very invested in as a kid. And I'll save them for later. But Cabbage Patch Kids, they were still riding high. They were the best-selling toy for 1983, but there was still a lot of love for them. And the year prior, in 1984, was big for Transformers. They were still on that list of hot ticket toys in the 80s. G.I. Joe was starting to really build up at this point. I was never really a G.I. Joe kid. Rainbow Bright, I remember vaguely. We did a Rocket Power episode. We've already established skateboard was not for me, but this was a early time for people wanting skateboards.
Yeah.
The two that feel like ancient artifacts of the 80s was the Pogo Ball. Are you familiar with the Pogo Ball?
Would that be the ball that basically looks like Saturn, but the rings are made of something you stand on and you jump up and down on it? Yep. That thing didn't look safe when I was a child, so I did not fuck with it.
So this unlocked a memory for me as well, was that the other big popular thing was Pillow People, which are these little stuffed animal pillow things.
Oh, that's not cool. I don't like that thing.
So the memory that this has unlocked for me is that there are photos of when I was a baby, my parents having a Halloween party and
kissing this thing.
Well, and people were dressed as Pillow People. And these are not the photos, but I found photos of basically the same basic
the same
vibe.
Outfits.
Same basic vibe was that they would put a giant pillowcase over their head and paint a face on it and pull it like down over their head and shoulders and then have like their regular legs on the bottom half. And there was like 4 people at my parents' Halloween party that did that, like showed up as Pillow People for Halloween at my parents' house.
That is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Do you want to know something even crazier about it?
Did you do it?
No.
What?
There is a documentary called The Complete Al that is the history of it's like a mockumentary of Al that he made in 1985.
Yeah.
And at one point in the video, they're talking about how creative Al is, and they're showing old home videos, and he is dressed as a pillow person as well, the exact same costume that I have the photos of for my parents' Halloween party. So that must have just been like the 1984 costume or something at some point.
So I also wanted to take a second to prove that I'm not a fucking crazy person. So I found a Toys R Us catalog from Christmas 1992, and literally the first page are these fucking troll dolls.
Oh, all over. Yeah. Okay.
I thought for a second, I was like, am I just getting confused by the internet? But no, these fucking troll dolls were everywhere. Another big one from 1992. Yeah, I was gonna
say, what are the big ones that you personally never got into?
Ones that I never got into, I will say Denim Barbie was not one that I got super into. I remember having a bunch of the Incredible Crash Dummies.
Yes.
That came out. Do you remember those?
I remember those.
Just sending those all over like the living room, of course, to get stepped on, and then I get screamed at. Another one that apparently came out around 1992 was the California Roller Baby Dolls. Do you remember those? So these were baby dolls that basically had roller skates on, and they basically looked like they were the like Beach Boys equivalent to a baby doll. Like it's very neon jacket on the baby doll.
What was their name again? Because I'm starting to remember this.
California Roller Baby.
Okay, California Roller Baby, which also sounds like a strand of weed at this point.
That does sound like a strand of weed.
Oh, I do. I think my sister had one of these. I definitely remember these.
That makes sense.
If you're an athlete, you know the greatest motivator of all is the fear of letting your teammates down. After all, a team is only as good as its weakest link. So you owe it to those wearing the same jersey as you to be your best every time you step on the field. That's why there's no vape in team. When you vape, you can expose your lungs to toxic chemicals that can damage your lungs. If you're a step behind, the team's a step behind. Brought to you by The Real Cost and the FDA.
Are you troubled by trying to find a great movie podcast to listen to?
Do you experience a love for monster movies from the classic Universal era to the modern creature features?
Have you or your family ever watched episodes of Elvira, Monster Vision, or Svengoolie?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Open up your podcatcher and search for the professionals. The Monster Rally Podcast.
Our hilarious and asinine hosts have an ever-growing library of episodes for you to listen to 24 hours a day to serve all your monster movie needs.
We'll talk about it.
One that I really wanted to get into, and I owned one, but I would never partake, are the creepy crawlers. Do you remember the creepy crawlers?
Like you would cook it was almost like an easy bake oven for boys, basically.
It was easy bake oven for boys. You made slimy little treats that looked like bugs, and I thought it was so neat to make those things, but no way did I want to touch them.
I actually didn't get one of those until I was well in my 20s when I found it at a yard sale.
Nice. And I know they turned it to candy, but I think the original ones, I just watched the commercial a little bit. They made like little plastic toys. Those didn't freak me out as much as the ones that you ate. I didn't like the fact that I was eating things in the shape of bugs as a child.
So I don't know if you remember this, but in that same vein, it probably would have been a year later.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Monster Face?
So Monster Face is on my list. I did not own one, but I wanted one.
I had a Monster Face. I didn't get the creepy crawlies, but I got a Monster Face.
I wanted a Monster Face so bad. This is actually one that popped up on Dinosaur Dracula's list that I have pulled up. So Monster Face was basically a zombie Mr. Potato Head, right?
Yeah.
God, I wanted one so bad.
I'm curious. I'm looking to see just how much people are selling a Monster Face for on eBay.
A Monster Face? We could.
Oh dear God, no!
Can we get two of them?
$80. $80 for a used Monster Face.
For a used Monster Face.
Another one for $40.
Okay.
Still out of range. Another one for $50. Yeah, these are a 40 to 50 seems to be the average. But yeah, I mean, look, if I found that at a yard sale for $10, I would still buy it. I'd be like, all right, let's grab a Monster Face. Why not?
Ooh. So one thing that is popping up in my memory is, it's called the Super Van City. It was a Micro Machine City. So it was in the shape of an RV van, and it would open up, and the RV van turns into a giant city that you can drive your little Micro Machines around. I always had a bunch of those like little Micro Machines and stuff like that, but I would never want to take the time to put the stickers on the track or the stickers on the cars. So I would always like leave those things in the box, and I would just be playing with like a naked city. Like there would be no actual road. It's just orange.
I got to call out this one that I think is incorrect, because it says on here that one of the top 10 toys from 1985 was the Atari. And this is a solid 2 years after the NES had been released. I feel like there's no way Atari was outselling the NES by 85 at that point. But I did have my dad's old Atari as a kid. I actually, the other day, was looking up how much it would cost to buy like a refurbished Atari just to play some of the old games that because that was my first real gaming system, was I played like E.T. and fucking Space Invaders in the basement all the time.
Hell yeah. So yeah, that would have been weird. It would have definitely been Nintendo at that point. When in 92, so flashing back over to mine, the Sega Genesis had dropped. So that was the first one. That was the one that I grew up with as a kid. I didn't have a Super Nintendo.
This is going to sound weird, but I feel like there was way more of a console wars vibe with Sega versus Nintendo than there ever was with Nintendo versus Atari. I think like Nintendo showed up and just wrecked house at that point.
Yeah,
but like
Sega does what Nintendo don't, bro.
Yeah, well that's the thing. Like in 1993, there were lines drawn in the fucking sand of were you a Sega kid or a Nintendo kid, and like I was a kid who loved going to someone's house who had a Sega, but my alliance was always with Nintendo. Like, I loved my Super Nintendo. But, man, if I went to someone's house and they had fucking Sega TV, you think I wasn't going to be playing some Sega TV in my life? You're crazy.
Looking back at it now, if I could go back in time, I would have given myself a Super Nintendo. But as a kid, I was like, nah, man, fuck Nintendo. Like, fuck Nintendo, dude. Well, our version of all the TMNT stuff is way better than yours, Nintendo. Sorry, go ahead.
Nope, that's true. The last one that was on my list, and I don't think I had any of these toys, but boy, was I into the show. Care Bears. Care Bears was on the list of like 10 big selling toys. It makes sense. The Care Bears TV series just launched in 1985, so like that kind of connects the pieces. I do have this weird, like, the second Care Bears movie specifically, Care Bears 2, The Next Generation. I watched that movie so fucking much as a kid. I love that. I still know all the words to every song in that movie. It's not good. It's a bad movie. But, like, there was, like, this weird, enjoyably wholesomeness to the Care Bears. And, like, the little action figures that they made were fucking adorable. So I totally get why they sold. I definitely had a couple Care Bears toys as a kid.
Yeah. So I'm gonna close it out. Okay. I'm gonna do my last one. I don't know how accurate this is. This is from toyretailersassociation.co.uk. The 1992 winner for top toys were WWF wrestlers.
Hell yes.
And I had so many of those rubbery WWF.
I was going to say, this had to be the big rubber ones.
I had the rubbery ones. Yeah, man, that I inherited from my dad. I don't know if they were from 92 or what. Probably not. But I inherited so many of those big ass rubbery wrestlers that I would make fight all the time, and that definitely transformed into me getting the action figures as a later kid in the late 90s and stuff like that with my little Titantron. I will say that was my number one as a kid, was just my wrestlers. I remember watching, it's so funny because I can't, like, it's wild that I remember this, but I remember being that young baby and witnessing the WrestleMania that they had in Vegas outside. WrestleMania 9, I think that was.
Okay.
The one that they did outside in Vegas.
That is WrestleMania 9, yeah.
I would have been like 1 at the time. It's not like I have like a vivid memory of it. I just remember sitting there and like foggy glimpses of the TV of it. Like, wrestling has always been in my life, and so that's my number one, are the WWF wrestlers.
That's
that I
a
had
good call,
as a kid.
man. Especially like the rubber ones are cool, but you're also in 92, you're starting to enter into those Hasbro figures that are, to me, the pinnacle of the wrestling figure.
Yep.
Those 90s ones where you could like pull the spring-loaded fists.
Hell yeah.
Or like you pull the arm and his foot stomps for the bushwhackers and shit. Like those were the tops. So
Those are the ones.
This was fun. I hope we can come up with more like fun little 15-20 minute discussion topics like this in the future, because I love
these
doing
are nice
them.
because we get to talk about our Christmases.
Yes.
Instead of analyzing other people's things, right?
Yes.
So kind of
it's always a nice little break.
Yeah, taking an inward look on us. But I get excited to talk about anything with you, Matt Kelly.
You and I both, sir. I can't wait to buy you whatever the hot toy is in 2024 this year.
Oh, I'm sure it's another iPhone.
Now we won't stop till the big ball drops on New Year's. Happy holiday, have a great holiday, have a merry happy holiday.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.